Hey there, I'm Dale with Open Road Outfitters. In this video, I'm going to walk through the steps that I followed to install this Rampage motorcycle lift in a short bed pickup truck. Let's check it out. Installations in most standard pickup trucks will be about the same, but remember, your mileage may vary. So follow the directions in the Rampage Installation and Operation Manual and you should be good to go. Here are most of the tools we used for installation. I forgot the measuring tools in this picture, but I'll put a list in the video description below. The only thing you'll need aside from these is a tool for setting the Plusnuts, which is provided with the Rampage. You'll also need a 33/64 drill bit for installing the Plusnuts. Now that size is important, so get the right size bit. I got mine off Amazon. One key to a successful installation is to figure out the best position for the Rampage before you start drilling. The standard Rampage is 8 feet long and can be installed in beds as short as 5 feet. In a 5' 6" short bed, you want to position the Rampage as far forward as you can, allowing yourself just a little space at the front of the box. In trucks with longer beds, you'll want to position the Rampage so the ramp will clear the back of the truck, depending on whether you plan to leave the tailgate on or take it off. From underneath, I'm measuring the distance from the front edge of the cargo box to the edge of this strut that runs across the underside of the box. And it looks like I have about 4 inches off the front of the cargo box where I can locate my front mounting holes. Next, I want to determine how far apart I can place the holes. For the most installation strength, you want to try to get them as far apart as possible. And it looks like the maximum span on the Rampage is around 15.5 inches. So that means that I want 3 holes for 3 fasteners at the front of the box that are no wider than 15.5 inches apart. If you have a plastic bed liner or spray-in bed liner, you'll need to remove that around the holes you drill before you install Plusnuts, because those have to be seated against the metal bed. Now in this installation, I took out the bed liner before drilling, and I took out a big chunk because this bed, I'm going to be getting a spray-in liner in this anyway. You only need to remove material right around the point where the Plusnuts go in, so you could potentially remove a lot less than this. When you're laying out the holes, you have to make sure they're located on a flat surface, either on top or between the ridges in the bed. So to mark them out, locate the midpoint of your truck bed. On this one, it was that gap between 2 ridges. So that's my starting point. I then measured out to each side to find the mounting points on either side that would get me up to a maximum of 15.5 inches with holes on the flat surfaces. So I laid down some tape. I marked those spots 2.5 inches off the front of the box to give me a little room up front when the unit's in place. At that point, I can start to drill. Now, I started with a small bit that I could place easily and that wouldn't walk off the hole, and that let me make a nice pilot hole. You'll see here I'm using a ruler. That's just to double check my distance off the front of the box. All right, with the pilot holes done, then switch to the big boy. And I took this process nice and slow because as you get close to cutting through, the bit has a tendency to catch on the edge of the hole. And you want to try to keep the drill and the bit as straight as you can so the bit doesn't take a chunk out of the hole and over drill it. Well, those look good, so now it's time to put the Plusnuts in place. You get a little set of instructions with these. It's really simple. You'll use a 9/16 socket to hold the head of the bolt, and then if you have metric wrenches, the nut is a 17 millimeter. Otherwise, you can use an adjustable wrench. It helps to have 2 people do this. One person to hold the bolt at the top and the other person to turn the nut. When you turn the nut, you're going to feel some resistance at first. It's going to be tight, and then that's followed by a sudden easing up. That's when the wings of the jacket on the nut start to expand. After you turn that for a little bit, you're going to feel it start to tighten up again as those wings start to come in contact with the bottom of the bed. You want to tighten those plus nuts until they're snug, but you don't want to over-tighten them. Now we're going to put the unit in, and we're going to check the work up front. And then that's going to let us mark the spot for installing the rear hole. The hole in the back doesn't bear any load, but it is important because it prevents the unit from moving side to side when you're at speed. Now here's another pro tip. I discovered this after the fact. I think it's discussed in the instructions, but before you put the unit in, take the roller out of that's in front of the winch. That gives you access to the center mounting hole. If you need a little bit of slack in the rope, you can move the ramp back a little bit by disengaging the clutch on the winch. That's that knob on the driver's side of the winch. You turn that, that'll let you pull the loading ramp out just a little, but once you do that, re-engage the clutch to keep the ramp from rolling out all the way. Then you can pull that roller out. Now you don't want to go tight with these. You just want to get these barely snug for now. You want to be able to just move the Rampage a little bit to make sure that that rear mounting hole is on the same center line as that front center mounting hole. Now here you can release the clutch on the winch again, and you can pull that ramp all the way back if you want, and that'll give you access to that rear hole. Mark that spot, then take out the front fasteners and move the unit off to the side, and that'll give you the room that you need to install the rear plus nut just like you did the others. There are two rear mounting holes for a Rampage. In the short bed you're going to use the one in the middle, and on long beds you're going to use the mounting hole at the very rear of the Rampage base. Now that I have that installed, we're going to get the unit back in, get all the bolts in, and now we're going to do the electrical. All that's left is to install the solenoid box and power it up. The solenoid box mounts on the left side toward the rear. First you install standoffs on the box, and then you install the box on the Rampage base frame using the supplied button head bolts. I think that's a 4mm Allen. You'll run the power leads up to the winch and attach those following the color codes. You'll see a blue washer on one terminal and a yellow on the other. Now the yellow happens to be on the bottom side of the front of the winch. I believe that is a 10mm nut. Pretty sure. Now, Rampage supplies a harness that's long enough to mount under the truck and run all the way to the battery. For my application, I'm going to do it just a little differently. I've decided to use a separate battery in the back that I'll take out and charge separately. Well, it looks like everything's working fine. We have secure installation points, looks good. I believe this unit is ready to load a bike and hit the road.
Take it all the way in.
In the next video, I'll go through the operation to show you how easy it is to load and unload a full-size bike. You can find the Rampage listed on my site at the link in the video description below. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos about motorcycle trailering and camping. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Dale with Open Road Outfitters, wishing you many happy journeys.